It's time for From the Short Grass with Trey, a golf podcast for those who love golf, struggle with golf, and just like to enjoy the outdoors and fellowship with friends, all while chasing a ball around trying to put it in a 4 1/4 inch diameter hole. From the Short Grass is brought to you by Stevens Incorporated, an independent financial services firm with the freedom to focus on what matters most. Blackman Auctions. For over 80 years, better auctions have always been Blackman Auctions. Beechwood Pinnacle Hotels. We partner with you to deliver high-yield results by managing, developing, and investing in top-quality hospitality assets. And now, from the Short Grass, here is your host, Trey Schapp.
Welcome to another edition of From the Short Grass. I am your host, Trey Schapp. Big news in the golfing world in Central Arkansas. The Simmons Bank Championship is coming to Pleasant Valley Country Club in October of 2024. That's right, Simmons Bank, Pleasant Valley, they have teamed up with the PGA Tour champions for a playoff event. It'll be the fifth leg of the PGA Tour Champions playoff towards the Charles Schwab Cup, and it's coming to Pleasant Valley Country Club. There'll be a lot more information here on From the Short Grass throughout the next year as we get ready for that championship. But first, I want you to hear from Pleasant Valley head golf professional Chris Mays, two players that play on PGA Tour champions Glenn Day and Ken Duke, and Mr. George Macris of Simmons Bank.
Well, Pro, this is exciting. Pleasant Valley is going to host a PGA Tour Champions event.
It's a great opportunity for us. It's also a great opportunity for the state and really for golf in this state. And so we're very happy to be a part of it and partner with Simmons and PGA Tour Champions to host such an event.
The fact that it is a playoff event means that the top of the top are coming to Little Rock.
Yeah, that's exciting to see the best players on PGA Tour Champions come to Little Rock and play, and you know they're going to be there is very exciting for us.
You worked at Southwind over in Memphis before you came to Pleasant Valley. It's always hosted a PGA Tour event. With you hosting this event, what can you take from what you learned at those events to make PV one of the best?
There's some things that you can take from just the outliers, but you got to remember that was 23 years ago, and technology has changed so much since then. I mean, we barely had email back when I was at Southwind. So there's a lot of things that we need to learn and go forward to make this event special.
Glenn, this is big news for Central Arkansas, you being a resident. What does it mean to you to have a playoff event on PGA Tour Champions coming to Pleasant Valley?
I think it is a complete home run. I could not be happier now that this announcement's out and we can talk about it. We can move forward. Simmons has made a 5-year commitment to this tournament, and it's only going to bring dollars and dollars and dollars into our charitable contributions here in Central Arkansas. Not only that, you're going to get the best players in the world, Hall of Fame players, major winners. You're going to get to see some unbelievable golf, and you're going to get to meet some really nice guys. Golf, and especially our tour, is it's a close-up sport. It's not like basketball when they're on the court and you have to sit there and watch. You get close up to the guys. You get to talk. You get autographs. So I am so excited that this announcement came up today. It's been hard to keep your tongue in your mouth for a while with me knowing what was going on, but I'm excited about this.
It's a playoff event, so that means a limited field, but it also means that you're getting the best of the best on the PGA Champions Tour, right?
That's exactly right. You got to qualify for it, but you will get the best players, and that's what you want, and that's what every tournament wants, and that's what every tournament deserves, is have the best guys, the Hall of Famers, and everything that goes with it. It's going to be a special time.
You won a couple of weeks ago. How much work will you put in next year to make sure that you're qualifying for Pleasant Valley?
Well, obviously that's my whole goal. Sure, winning is great, but I got to make sure I'm here. Being an ambassador to Simmons Bank and in this event, an inaugural event, I need to be here, and I hope I will be, and just stay healthy and keep forward. But just so excited for the state of Arkansas and Pleasant Valley and Simmons Bank.
What can the fans expect?
A lot of fun. A lot of fun, a lot of Hall of Famers. But I'm just going to tell you, there's a lot of good golf, too. It's not just a bunch of old guys coming out playing and walking around, but it's very competitive out there, and they do have a lot of fun.
This is big for Simmons Bank to bring professional golf to Arkansas?
Well, it really is, Trey. You know, we thought about this for a long time, and Arkansas really doesn't have any pro sports. Just think about the opportunities for hospitality with a pro team in your community. This gives us all that opportunity at one time. And, you know, the guys that'll be here playing in that tournament are the legends of golf. Everybody knows them. The atmosphere and the friendliness that'll be associated with this tournament is just second to none. And we just couldn't think of a better opportunity than to bring it in at this time, especially with Ken and Glenn and where they are in their careers. They'll be great ambassadors, not only for Simmons, but for this tournament as well. They'll talk about it on the tour, and they'll get everybody excited. So we just think it's a great opportunity for the state. You know, the other thing is that many other tournaments are community specific, and while we certainly understand that Little Rock's going to be the great beneficiary, we think this has statewide interest, and it will be the state's tournament.
Why Pleasant Valley Country Club?
Well, we asked the pros about the several championship courses that we have here in Little Rock, and of course there are some really good tracks here. When you go to Pleasant Valley Country Club and you stand on the back porch of their clubhouse and you see the terraced green all the way down to the 18th green, and you can see the three finishing holes, 16, 17, and 18, from a spectator perspective, it is the ideal scenario. In fact, we were talking yesterday, we can't think of another golf course on any tour that gives that kind of viewpoint on the finishing holes. So it's proximity to Central Little Rock, excellent parking in places like Pulaski Academy, some large churches around. Just getting people in and out, the logistics just makes great sense. So it checked all the boxes of what you want to look for in a venue.
And Simmons Bank, it also shows not only the state of Arkansas, but the rest of the country and the world even, your dedication to the game of golf.
Thank you for saying that. We are dedicated to that. You know, the integrity of the game of golf is not matched in any other sport. You have to have referees, and you have to have umpires, and you have to have folks keeping everybody straight. Well, in golf, they keep themselves straight. And you slip up one time and you know what happens to your reputation. So we just felt like, you know, the integrity of the game and what we try to display with regard to integrity in our business matched up really, really well.
Congratulations to Simmons Bank, the Board of Governors at Pleasant Valley Country Club, in a win for golf in the state of Arkansas. Not just Central Arkansas, but the state of Arkansas. Congratulations again to everyone involved in that. Part 2 of my sit-down with Danny Yates, the two-time Walker Cup competitor and two-time Walker Cup captain. In fact, the United States team was able to retain the Walker Cup at St. Andrews over Great Britain and Ireland over the weekend. We'll have a little bit more on that at the end of the broadcast here. But Danny Yates is coming up after the break. Since 1938, better auctions have always been Blackman Auctions. Remember, if you're looking for an upcoming auction, go to their website, blackmanauctions.com. Find one that you want to attend and go. That's all you have to do. Blackman Auctions, a great sponsor of From the Shortgrass. We're back with more after this. Strength is measured not by the number of accounts. Strength is placing value on relationships. It's having the vision and the guts to invest in growth. It's the commitment to responsibly manage your money. At Stephens, we believe that our strengths build success, not only for us, but for our clients. Stephens, member NYSE, SIPC.
Heading to El Dorado to check out some live music or to play Mystic Creek? Stay at the Haywood, the only boutique hotel in the middle of downtown and the Murphy Arts District. If you are spending a weekend in Hot Springs, make plans now at the Marriott Courtyard close to Lake Hamilton and Oaklawn. Beechwood Pinnacle Hotel Group manages both of these fine properties, and you will rest easy knowing that your every need is taken care of. Beechwood Pinnacle Hotels on the web at bphotels.com.
I'm Thomas Blackman with Blackman Auctions. I've heard it said that sometimes there are two best days with real estate ownership. It's the day you buy it and the day you sell it. Depending on where you are in your journey, let me help. If you're looking for that outdoor getaway or that home in the city, I can help. If you're looking at selling that outdoor property you haven't seen in 3 years, I can help. Or selling that home in the city that you've outgrown, I can help. Blackman Auctions is your one-stop real estate company. Since 1938, better auctions are Blackman Auctions.
Welcome back to this edition of From the Shortgrass. Beechwood Pinnacle Hotel Group, bphotels.com, is where they are on the web. When you need an overnight place to stay, make sure it's a Beechwood Pinnacle Hotel property, a great sponsor of From the Shortgrass. The United States team wins the 49th Walker Cup. They come from behind to win 14.5 to 11.5. And yes, the United States team now 4 straight victories in the Walker Cup over Great Britain and Ireland. Speaking of the Walker Cup, Mr. Danny Yates was a 2-time competitor and a 2-time captain of the United States team in the Walker Cup. This is part 2 of my sit-down interview with him. On the tee, Danny Yates.
You were selected by the USGA to captain 2 Walker Cup teams, 1999, 2001. What do you remember about those teams?
Well, I thought at the time I was really surprised. I thought I was probably too young. I was 49. It was great experience. We went over to Scotland. The thing I'd say I'm proud about, we had older guys. We had mid-ams. Mm-hmm. And now, unfortunately, that's basically a thing of the past other than, I guess, Stuart Hagestad this year is a mid-am. But, I mean, they had a really good team. They had Luke Donald and some guys and Paul Casey. I mean, it was great. It's still sad to me, hard that we lost. But they played better than we did on Sunday. Same thing happened at Ocean Forest in 01. It's hard to be the captain. You're by yourself, and it's not hard. But you got 8 matches going on in the singles or 4 in the foursomes, but you can only be at one place at one time. You can't stop the competition. You kind of figure out where everybody is, and it's a lot of work. Especially once they start playing, there's nothing you can do but watch.
The build up to it, though. I mean, do you have to try and figure out what guys are going to work best?
Oh, yeah.
And
back then, we didn't have practice sessions, and you'd really, we went to Scotland, and we basically had couple of days to figure out who's going to play with who, and that makes it kind of tough. Do it in a hurry. And now I know they have these practice squads, and I think that helps a good bit to figure out whose game matches with whose and that sort of stuff.
I want to ask you about a couple of the players that you had on your teams. Matt Kuchar, everybody I think knows that name.
Yeah, he was he'd been the amateur champion a couple of years before. And he was a good player. I think about everybody over there just about didn't play their best, the weather or something. Mm-hmm. But he was there. His Tech teammate, Bryce Mulder, we played together.
From Conway, Arkansas.
Yeah, a good guy, really good guy. I thought maybe he may have been the best player on the team that week. David Gossett played. He had just won the amateur. Unfortunately, I can't remember all the details. I think he and Mulder they either have their match or lost their match on the last hole, but it went right down to the wire.
But it was kind of like, 2 Georgia Tech guys. I'm going to put them together. They're teammates.
Yeah, and they wanted to play together. They knew each other's game. Yeah. They fit well.
Edward Lohr, he's a guy from Rockwall, Texas. Going to have him on the podcast here pretty soon.
Really?
Yeah.
Long hitting left-hander.
Yeah.
He's left-handed. Yeah,
I believe so.
He's a good guy, real good guy. His father was a really good guy, and I think his younger brother was a good player. I can't remember. He'd won some tournament, but Edwards was a good guy.
And then Lucas Glover, and as we are recording this, it is the week of the Tour Championship here in Atlanta, and he won the first leg of it, the FedEx St. Jude Classic.
Yeah, he was on the 01 team at Ocean Forest. Edward was in 99.
Right. What do you remember about Lucas?
He was a good guy. He was a.
Did he sweat like he does now?
Probably. It was. It
wasn't that. It wasn't.
No, it was brutal.
Was it brutal up there when y'all played?
Hot, 100 degrees.
Oh.
But he was a really good guy. He was a competitor, team guy. He was good. He was a good kid, good player.
Mr. Yates, let me ask you this. What was the feeling like for you when you were representing your country on that national stage as a player, then as a captain? Was it different?
Oh, yeah. When you're on the playing, you're worried primarily about your own game because you want to come through for the team. For captain, it's totally different. You're not playing. You're trying to figure out how to win, but it's just so many things going on that you have no control over. It's not bad, but, there may be a group an hour ahead of the group you're watching. It's hard to get out, see what's going on. Mm-hmm. But it was great. I mean, I had nothing but great experiences in the whole thing.
Back on a state level here in the state of Georgia, you've won the state am and mid-amateur 3 times each, kind of followed in your father's footstep. He was a Georgia state am champion. Your uncle Charlie, multi-state am champion, I believe. Were they as competitive as the national tournaments you played in?
Yeah. I mean, we had a lot of good players around here. I won the amateur in 77. Griff Moody was playing, a very good player, played on the Walker Cup, played really good college golf. I went down at Sea Island. I mean, they always just had good players. Georgia's always had a strong group of players. Obviously it's not as hard to win a state am as it is a national mid-am or national amateur. But we've had really good players around here.
But you can sense the pressure, though, there, too,
oh, yeah.
Trying to win one. Maybe not as much as on a national level, but there's still – anytime you're playing for something, there's pressure,
oh, yeah.
Right?
It's fun.
How do you deal with it?
I really liked it. I always felt like I could focus better when I was nervous. And the state am in 89 was at Sea Island, and my uncle had won it there, and my father had won it there, and that was the only 2 previous tournaments there. Then I won it. I really felt a lot of pressure just because I wanted to win it just like they did. But it's fun when you have to worry about something. It's not bad worry, but it's something to get you keyed up.
When you finally did win it there, and your name was on there before, but to see it on there at Sea Island,
yeah.
along with your father and your uncle, that had to mean a lot.
Oh, very satisfying. Then I was named to the Walker Cup team that week, so that put me in a good mood. So it was fun.
I would bet. You remember the 1994 class of the Georgia Golf Hall of Fame. What does that mean to Mr. Danny Yates?
That means a lot. I mean, there's some great names in there. Bobby Jones, my Uncle Charles, my father's in it. Looking way back, a guy named Tommy Barnes. I guess Harvey Ward. I'm not sure. He wasn't a native Georgian, but he played a lot of golf. I mean, there were some just great names in that group.
Your Uncle Charlie and Father Dan, as we mentioned earlier, friends of the great Bobby Jones. There have to be stories there. There has to be at least 1 or 2 that you can share.
My uncle was good friends with Jones. My father knew him, but not like Charles did. But he told me one time they were riding back from Augusta, and Jones said to him, he said, I really love people, but in small groups. I guess he was just people all around him. But they never talked much about his game, just about who he was. But you could read and you heard, but they never dwelled on the golf as much as some others did.
Do you think that's kind of interesting, the fact that here are these two? I mean, yeah, they're friends, but when it come to their friendship, it's more about other things besides golf that they're talking about?
Yeah. But when they played, it was very competitive. Jones was, he wanted to kill you for $2. And Charles, they just were very competitive, hated to lose. They were gracious either way, winning or losing. But they were very, very competitive and had a lot of really Saturday matches that were very competitive. So that was kind of the way they grew up. But I don't recall them talking a lot about Jones all the time.
When did you first play with your father and your uncle?
Together? Probably in the early 60s. And Charles would help me. I guess it's easier to listen to your uncle than your father, but he gave me some good tips about strategy and that sort of stuff. But we played some, but not a lot together.
Do you remember the first time you finally beat your father and what his reaction was?
No, I don't. I hate to tell you. But, I tried so hard for so long and never could do it. But I was probably, I guess I was about 14 or 15 when I finally beat him.
Had to be satisfying, though, right?
Yeah. He didn't like to lose either, I can tell you that.
Did you take that home to Mom? What'd she say?
I can't even remember. There wasn't a whole lot of, in our family, there wasn't a whole lot of, what's the word?
Ribbing?
Yeah, ribbing or that kind of smack talk. There wasn't.
Yeah.
That just, Charles and my father didn't like that. And there wasn't any of that going on. I guess, when you talk that way and lose, it's a lot harder. So they stayed away from that kind of stuff.
What was it like for you seeing your father inducted into the Georgia Golf Hall of Fame a couple of years after you?
That was special. He never got the credit. Charles got all the credit. He won the amateur, or the British Amateur. He won the Western, the NCAA, and he was the one that the spotlight. And Daddy was a good player, and he won the Dogwood here is a good tournament in the state. And then the war came along, which basically that was about the end of it for him. He got back and had children and went to work, and he really didn't play much competitive golf. It was nice for him to get some recognition because he'd done a lot of nice things for Georgia Tech and others, but Charles got all the attention. It wasn't because Charles was looking for it, but that's just who got it.
You won the Southern AM, too.
Who, me?
Yeah, right?
I did.
What was that like?
That was a lot of fun. I was trying to make the 75 Walker Cup team, and I had been runner-up in the North-South earlier, and I was trying so hard to win that thing. And I won the Southern, and then I didn't qualify for the Amateur later on. That cost me a chance to make the Walker Cup. But winning the Southern was really, really special.
Do you feel like, Mr. Yates, as you got later in life, that the game, your course management of the game got better?
I'd say a little bit. Davis Love, I was thinking about him. He told me years ago in the early 80s, he said, you drive the ball pretty well. I wouldn't, I would, if I were you, play fairly conservatively off the tee and be fairly aggressive at the flags. But, he gave me a lot of, I was so lucky to play golf with him and Charles Yates, a guy named Dynamite Goodlow when I was little. And they gave you a lot of good stuff. And I think that's just kind of the way it was. That I learned a lot at a young age from some really good players.
Who is must-see on television for you right now? When they're playing, I'm going to stop, I'm going to take some time out, and I'm going to watch. If there is one.
I just like watching. I love the way Scheffler plays. That's fun. God, this guy Hovland yesterday was just unbelievable. It's such a different game now. Mm-hmm. They hit the ball a mile. They hit it hard. When we came along, we played with wood-headed clubs, and the ball curved a lot. And the harder you hit it, the more it would spin. And it curved a lot more. So you had to play more within yourselves. And the emphasis back then, Palmer and those guys had great short games, but we should have learned more watching that. Everybody just wanted to hit 18 greens, which was impossible. But it's different. It's a power game. Back in the day, it was finesse. You couldn't just stand up there and try to kill it every time because you probably wouldn't find it half the time. But I love watching Scheffler, McIlroy. I love to watch Lucas Glover because he just stands up there and hits it and plays, no messing around. Mm-hmm. I really like watching him. And it's really good that he is playing well right now.
What do you think your uncle, your father, even Mr. Jones would say about the state of golf right now, 2023?
They in a lot of ways it's great. I think they would all worry about the money. I think the live would really be something they would not be happy about.
It's tough to see it, isn't it?
Oh, it's terrible. It really is.
Favorite golf course you've ever played?
I'm going to get in trouble with this one.
Why is that?
Well, because, I'm lucky to get to play so many good ones. But Pinehurst number 2 was just so special. I'd go up there and play in the North-South. It really wasn't playing very well. It's in early spring. I just got a good feeling there, and I love that and the old course. Of course, I love Augusta National. I love Peachtree. But, I mean, I get a better sense of course, playing it competitively than I do. And I've really never played anything at the old course. Played a little one-day thing over there. But Pinehurst, it would grow on you. All the shots you had to hit. And that's one of my very favorite courses. Seminole, I love Seminole. Too many to mention.
There are a lot of good ones out there.
Oh, my God.
A lot of good ones out there. How has golf helped you in not only your life, but business?
I've tried to separate my business from golf.
Is it hard?
Not really. I remember when I went to the amateur, went to the finals, I had lunch with a customer. Guy was a Marine, 2-time, toured Vietnam. Unfortunately, Agent Orange killed him. But we had lunch. He said, I saw you on TV. I didn't even know you played golf. And I said, fine. I just don't care about, I'm not scared to talk about it, but I don't really think everybody cares to hear me talk about my golf game. If they want to talk about it, I'll talk all day. But I just never wanted, and Charles was this way. My father tried to get him to come to work here in the insurance business, but he said, I just don't want to call on my friends for business. And that's not me, but if they want to know about the golf, that's fine. It's helped me a great deal, there's no doubt. But it's nothing that I've sat here and tried to figure out how can I use my golf to make more money.
Is there one shot in your lifetime that you would like to have back? A do-over, a mulligan, if you will.
We were playing the Open Qualifier here in 1976, and it was at the Atlanta Athletic Club. And I was in a playoff. There was a 10-way playoff, and I birdied the first hole.
For how many spots?
1.
Wow.
The last guy behind us, there were 2 fives, and he made a long putt. And then we got to the next hole, was a par 3. God, it was about 225 yards. And I normally never hook the ball much, and I hooked it to the left and just dead. I'd like to have that shot because I really wanted to play in the Open here. But I vividly remember that shot because it was different than most of the bad shots I hit. I'd like to have that one back. I'd love to have played in the Open here at home.
That'd have been special.
Oh, yeah.
Fantasy foursome, Mr. Yates, living or deceased, 3 other golfers you'd like to play around the golf with.
That I've never played with.
No, it could be that you've played with, that you've never played with, just anyone. I might have an idea who you're going with.
Well, I'm gonna say the ones I've never played with.
Okay.
Ben Hogan, Byron Nelson, and Bobby Jones. And then I've been blessed to play with Palmer, Nicholas, Player, Crenshaw. I mean, those were great guys to play golf with. But really, I think about who I would really have liked to seen play golf, those 3. Because it was a different game and different equipment.
Yeah, that would have been special.
Yeah.
Mr. Yates, thanks so much for your time.
Thank you.
Really appreciate it.
Thanks for coming all the way.
It's an easy trip.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
I'm Thomas Blackman with Blackman Auctions. I've heard it said that sometimes there are 2 best days with real estate ownership. It's the day you buy it and the day you sell it. Depending on where you are in your journey, let me help. If you're looking for that outdoor getaway or that home in the city, I can help. If you're looking at selling that outdoor property you haven't seen in 3 years, I can help. Or selling that home in the city that you've outgrown, I can help. Blackman Auctions is your one-stop real estate company. Since 1938, better auctions are Blackman Auctions.
Traveling to Fayetteville to watch a game? Forgot to book a room for the night? Beechwood Pinnacle Hotel Group has you covered. Stay where the fans stay. Staybridge Suites is just south of Baum-Walker Stadium and is an all-suite hotel within walking distance of Baum-Walker, Bud Walton, and Razorback Stadium. Or you could stay at the Comfort Inn and Suites with newly remodeled rooms throughout the entire property. Find them on the web at bphotels.com. Beechwood Pinnacle Hotels.
That will do it for this edition of From the Short Grass. As always, thanks for listening. And again, I want to thank Mr. Danny Yates, a fine gentleman, a great competitor on the golf course, and the history around him and the game of golf is just second to none. And I want to thank him for his time and allowing me to sit down and chat with him. And congratulations to the USA team in the Walker Cup again, a 14.5, 11.5 win over GB&I. Remember, when you find your ball mark on the green, fix it and a couple of more, and I hope to see you sometime soon from the Short Grass.
You've been listening to From the Short Grass, a weekly podcast dedicated to the game of golf. This has been a presentation of the Buzz Radio Network.